This week, Jimmy the Geek recaps his top 5 musical pieces for video games of the 90s. Jonny Robot messes with the space-time continuum as he plays through Super Time Force, and I'm busily trapping goblins, checking crops and crafting potions in Here Be Monsters. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this week we've got 2 redesigned bits of gaming hardware coming your way. First off, Microsoft has backflipped again on its plans for the Xbox One, announcing that a version of the console will ship soon without the Kinect peripheral. If you don't think you'll need it, you will save a few bucks. The disconnected console will sell for $3.99 in the US, $4.99 in Australia, around $100 cheaper than the current model. Game developers like Harmonix is currently hard at work on Fantasia Music Evolved, which cannot be played with a conventional controller, are gritting their teeth and preparing to make even more compelling gaming experiences now that the price tag for their games have effectively jumped by around the price of a Kinect. While there are mixed responses to Microsoft's decision, Sony's announcement has made people a little happier. The PCH 2000 model PlayStation Vita is headed to Australia and New Zealand in June. The new handheld launched in Japan in October last year and is 20% slimmer and 15% lighter than the original model. There's a few more changes as well: an LCD screen instead of the OLED design, improved battery life, and a 1GB internal memory card. In other news, Flappy Bird is coming back. Kinda. Developer Dong Nguyen has announced that he is working on a new game and it should be out in a couple of months. We're not entirely sure what the new multiplayer game is. Nguyen's only shared one screenshot and no real details, but given that he removed his previous game from the App Store because it was too addictive, we're more than a little curious about this one. Now, if you play DayZ, we have some bad news for you. Developer Bohemia Interactive has confirmed that the studio's servers have been hacked, with an intruder potentially accessing source code for the Zombie Hunter. Bohemia has quickly pointed out that no user data was accessed and it is investigating the nature and scope of the attack. If source code really was copied, then brace yourselves for an incoming wave of cheats, bots, and other nasties. And on to something completely different. This week we heard a lot of new video game announcements and rumours from an assortment of publishers. First up, Rockstar Games casually mentioned that it would have a new generation release on shelves before March next year. The news came hot on the heels of a suggestion that Red Dead Redemption was eyeing off a PC release sometime soon, and Rockstar fans were whipped into a frenzy. The most obvious suggestion, of course, barring any brand new games, is an upgraded release of Grand Theft Auto 5 for PS4 and Xbox One, but some people think that's a little too obvious. Instead, Red Dead Redemption could be headed to new consoles as well as PC, or maybe it's an updated Bully, or even Rockstar Games presents table tennis. Ubisoft also got in on the new announcement action. Firstly, Assassin's Creed Unity, the 2014 entry into the series, is being developed by no less than 10 different studios. With Montreal as lead developer, there's also support from Toronto, Singapore, Quebec, NLC, Shanghai, Chengdu, Kiev, Montpellier, and Bucharest. But not to miss out on the new game buzz, Ubisoft also took the wraps off of Far Cry 4, announcing that we can expect a new experience in November. The game has moved on from the lush jungles of Far Cry 3 into a new region ruled by a self-appointed king. Other than that, we don't know much about it, but the box art is already ruffling more than a few feathers, with gamers accusing the studio of racism. Microsoft is also getting amongst the big announcement action, dropping another bombshell just a few weeks away from E3. You guessed it, 343 Industries is working on Halo 5 Guardians, promising to be the continuation of Master Chief's story and the Halo game that fans deserve. We still have a while to wait for that one. It's not due out until late 2015 exclusively for Xbox One, but we will be seeing quite a bit of Master Chief, his friends, and the Halo journey at Microsoft's E3 briefing in Los Angeles on June 9th. And finally this week, one more big reveal for you. 3D Realms and Interceptor Games, the dynamic pairing that brought back the reboot of Rise of the Triad last year, have teamed up again to bring you something new. Take a look at Bombshell.
Fellow citizens, fellow Americans, as we head toward a new age, an age of boundless technological progress, we head towards a sea of unforeseeable challenges. Forces, both political and industrial, both local and otherwise, seek to irrevocably tie us to an increasingly global globalized world. They seek to strip us of the things that make our lasting democracy so great under the guise of a unified Earth. Our way of life. A single people. A people controlled by an insidious and unseen power. This power seeks to not only strip us of our sovereignty and the prosperity it brings, but to strip us of our individual freedoms as well. Against this power, we will act, and we will not merely reserve.
It's worth pointing out that 3D Realms is, of course, best known for its involvement in the Duke Nukem series. Earlier this year, we were promised a brand new Duke adventure, but the developers are currently being sued by Gearbox, who actually owns the Duke Nukem IP. And this is where Bombshell comes in. Any similarities you might have picked up may be more than just coincidences. Word on the street has it that 3D Realms and Interceptor had been quite busily working on the new Duke Nukem before the court case, and so the studios have now switched the genders to make a completely different story. Magic. Bombshell, as well as Halo 5, Far Cry 4, Assassin's Creed Unity, and plenty of other games, will of course be on show at E3 in early June. We will be on the show floor bringing you all the news as it happens. In the meantime, for more information on any of these stories or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, I've got plenty more still to come.
Experience historical battles like never before in World of Tanks. Play for free at tanks.asia.
Hey guys, so I've got a bit of a question for you. What do these three things have in common? Time travel, dinosaurs, and robots. That's cool, take your time. I'm sure the people around you won't judge you for yelling at the screen. Go on, think about it. Okay, so if you answered nothing, leave. Right now, just do it. If you answered they're all wicked awesome things and they pop up in the movie Kung Fury, then we should probably exchange Pokemon friend codes and set up a totally not awkward date. And finally, if you watched the intro to this episode and said, that game that just came out, Super Time Force, then you, my friend, are so right. You'll never be wrong. Probably. Super Time Force is a straight-up homage to the 2D 8-bit shoot-em-ups of yesteryear, a trait it wears proudly and executes fantastically. Much in the same vein as Metal Slug or Contra, you move from the left of the screen to the right, blasting everything in sight until you reach your goal. Which, may I add, you have to achieve in a whole 60 freaking seconds. Only there's a twist here. You have the ability to pull off some mad H.G. Wells tricks and control the flow of time. You play as an elite quantum-leaping time cop under the vigilant watch of Commander Rapitsky, who believes in all his infinite wisdom that with this godlike power, it's time to undo all the wrongs throughout history. Wars, famines, that mustachioed madman Hitler, they don't even register on his radar, instead sending you back in time to fight the asteroid that thwarted the dinosaurs so he can have a dino-human basketball league, or to grab a plugin from the 31st century so YouTube loads faster. Having missions dictated by a madman who laughs in the face of paradoxes allows the designers to have all kinds of fun with the environments, including the jungles of the Jurassic period, dystopian 80s wastelands, and even the far-off Mega Man future of 2000XX. The environment's character designs and animations are gorgeous, with each level wonderfully crafted to assist the fast-paced flow of the gameplay. A lot of the time you'll find yourself laughing at a pop culture reference hidden in the background when BAM! You'll get Lee Harvey Oswalded. Trust me, that's a verb in the future. But death isn't a big deal when you can just, reverse time and say move 3 inches to the left. Say hello to the mechanic that separates this pixel shooter from the rest, the timeout system. At any time during your frantic dash to the finish, you can hit the B button, which stops time and allows you to rewind anywhere from a couple of seconds ago to the beginning of the level. The cool and mind-tripping thing here is, everything that happened on your previous runs still happened. Yeah, those guys you shot, they're still dead, and the collectibles that stole a good 10 seconds from you, well, you've got those too. This allows you to explore the vast levels for all their spoils without having that time-based anxiety I hate so much in games. The more you use this ability, the more crazy awesome things get. Much like the completion screen on Super Meat Boy, you see every iteration of you from parallel timelines charging towards death. Or victory. It's all relative, I suppose. This allows you to create some insane combos, which are a necessity when it comes to the later boss fights, where the whole screen becomes a bullet storm that would put Ikaruga to shame. The game also rewards you for creating paradoxes, because what's the worst that could happen there, right? By saving AU from a different timeline, you're rewarded by being able to take an extra hit and absorbing their special ability. Shotgun blasts that turn enemies into kittens is awesome. Whether or not you're heavy into the retro resurgence that sprung up of late, Super Time Force is totally worth your time. The humor has the off-the-wall Nickelodeon vibe from a time gone by and rarely fails to miss a beat. Heap on top of that references from every corner of the nerd spectrum, and there's something here for everyone. Although the game is relatively short, taking me just a couple of hours to finish, there is totally incentive to come back and find all the collectibles and hidden characters, like a heavy machine gun toting porpoise called Dolphin Lundgren. With wordplay like that, how can you not pick this game up?
The lovely folks at Insomniac Games have very generously provided us with 3 Sunset Overdrive prize packs containing a t-shirt, a hoodie, and a cap featuring Fizco's mascot, the cheerful, friendly Fizzy. If you want to win this snazzy Sunset Overdrive wardrobe for yourself, visit the Player Attack website, head to the giveaway page, and tell us which punk rock song you would most like to hear while cruising around Sunset City. The competition's open to Player Attack viewers in Australia and New Zealand and runs until May 31, with the winners announced on Player Attack shortly after. For the full terms and conditions, please visit playerattack.com.
Experience historical battles like never before in World of Tanks. Play for free at tanks.asia.
When you think of Facebook games, what do you think of? Sugary match 3 games, colourful gambling simulators, endless requests for tractors and extra lives and invitations to join people you don't really know very well? Well, put all of that on hold, because Here Be Monsters is a crafty, questy RPG that really shouldn't be judged on its choice of social platform. We'll start at the beginning. You are a new recruit at the world-renowned Ministry of Monsters. This is the real world too, mostly. It's a very recognisable map with some very recognisable place names, but we're not sure quite how many basilisk queens really live in Libya, trolls in Finland, or Wolpertingers in Germany. That said, the Australian locations do contain drop bears, so the developers have obviously included a few real-world creatures as well as the more fantastic ones. Strange, glowing starium meteors have started falling on this not-quite-Earth, spreading corruption. This is infecting the once peaceful monsters, making them pretty dangerous. You are immune, so it's up to you to do your bit and help save the world. So how do you do that? Mostly by trapping monsters, but there's so much other stuff to do. In an average gameplay session, you might bake a cake, juice some fresh fruit, harvest crops, forage for berries, collect butterflies, catch fish, pick flowers, build a barn, craft new components, or construct a trap, all before actually using one to catch a monster. And there are different monsters in different parts of the world, so you'll need to travel all over the planet to catch them all and to complete quests. Travel is a simple matter of clicking your destination on the map, but you'll need to make sure you have plenty of energy to get there, so eat up. Unlike most Facebook social games, you do not have a limited amount of energy per day. While your energy will regenerate over time, you can also boost it considerably by eating food. Even munching on an apple or two that you've just picked will help replenish your meter, but you will get better rewards if you turn the apple and a little sugar into juice. So, back to the dark side of social gaming. Most Facebook titles include some level of social obligation, hence the unending invitations to share lives, send tractors, or join in all the fun. Even the ones that don't require you to send constant messages to real-world friends in order to progress still tend to spam up your timelines with update upon update about which level you just completed, which colour ball you just matched, or which hidden item you just discovered. Here Be Monsters does not. Sure, it gives you the option to share new discoveries, recipes, and quest completions, and you have the choice to invite your friends to play, but at no point is it essential to your progress. In fact, it is entirely possible and very easy to play Here Be Monsters without anyone else knowing. There's also another part of this that's possibly even more impressive. Your in-game friends list and your real-world friends list are kept completely separate. You don't need to clutter up your personal Facebook account by adding people you don't actually know just to unlock special achievements or progress in the world. On the other hand, if you play social games to actually be social, there's plenty of opportunities for that too. Each in-game location has its own chat room, and there are a number of others offering help for noobs and hints for quests. In-game friendships can spill over into the real world, and we've just received word that Here Be Monsters has just celebrated its first real-world wedding as gamers Lisa and Chris tie the knot in the US. Developer GameSys got in on the action, sending the couple a delicious cake, complete with little sugar-moulded avatars, and giving the in-game pair some snazzy new clothes for the occasion. To be fair, Here Be Monsters isn't just a Facebook game. You can play it on their website, and it has also just been released on iPad, which gives you a slightly more portable experience. You will still need an always-on internet connection for it all to work, so this isn't necessarily something you can do on the bus, but if you want to get your gaming fix away from the PC, you've now got the option. While the gameplay experience is pretty much the same, it's great to note that the gameplay community is exactly the same. You are dropped into exactly the same world with exactly the same friends list and chat rooms, and you can interact with everything and everyone in the same way, regardless of the platform you've chosen. And that brings us back to the start. When you think of Facebook games, maybe you shouldn't think of Match 3, Tractors, and Timeline Spam. Here Be Monsters is an RPG that's just as solid as many standalone games these days, and it just happens to be playable through a website you visit every day anyway.
We spent a lot of time discussing graphics and their impact on the new console generations. With the rising quality in graphics, so too has the quality of sound and orchestration. The long-standing war between Sega and Nintendo has gone down, and rightfully so, as probably the biggest console war in the history of the industry. Some of the biggest punches were thrown by the sound chip. So today, we're talking about the top 5 musical pieces from video games of the 1990s. So much of my own personal gaming history can be traced back to this game. I remember the first time I played it in that ice rink all those years ago. Sure, the game looked like nothing I'd ever seen before, but it was the music that was the first thing to grab me about Street Fighter 2. Regardless of what the internet says about some of the other pieces that came from this game, it was the intro that truly let you know what was going down. Two dudes from different sides of the planet beating the living snot out of each other. This was a landmark title in so very many ways, with its innovative control scheme and in-depth strategy, that its soundtrack kind of faded into the background, which was sad because when the SNES port was released, it came with an extra synth line, and it became one of the greatest things ever recorded on a 16-bit synthesizer. I am a self-confessed metalhead. From Led Zeppelin to Dragon Force, I have never really strayed from banging my head to shredded riffs. With that in mind, here is the greatest hip-hop track ever made. Masato Nakamura of J-pop band Dreams Come True gave us the entire Sonic the Hedgehog 2 soundtrack, but it was Mystic Cave Zone's music that stood out as the real gem. Its timeless New Jack Swing beat fit perfectly with the dank, dark environment that Sonic was running through, and it creates a genuine sense of unease without losing its sense of fun or its ability to make you want to dance. Pop composers writing tracks would continue through the Sonic franchise, with the king of pop, Michael Jackson himself, working as an uncredited composer on the game's sequel. However, Sonic 3's score was just not as memorable in comparison. There was nothing as fun or energetic as Mystic Cave Zone. This one comes from a series with, frankly, stunningly catchy music. The cartoon's opening theme is still stuck in a few Gen Y heads. Luckily, we're not talking about that theme. DuckTales from Capcom was built on the Mega Man engine, and it showed us that a good game was possible from a cartoon adaptation. It also had a stunning soundtrack. The Moon's background music was incredible, pushing the NES sound chip to its absolute limit. Not only does it create a windswept and epic tone for the adventure you're having on this lifeless rock, It's also as catchy as hell. If you're looking for more proof of the quality of this track, the only thing they did to it in the remastered edition was turn up the drums. Oh, and they made it the main theme of the game. Games are, compared to the rest of the art world, a relatively young medium. We aren't yet at the point, like films, where an instantly iconic piece of music can be associated with its subject. There are but 3 exceptions: Super Mario Bros., Tetris, and this. From the moment it booted up on the NES back in 1986, you knew that this game was going to be special. The Legend of Zelda series has always led the field in epic, sprawling, open-world adventures, and it's helped in no small part by this stunning piece of score. This music does everything it's supposed to. It stirs your bravery, stifles your fear, and prepares you for the most epic adventure that 8-bit could possibly provide you with. Orchestrated several times over several different sound chips, it's immediately recognizable. This piece will go down in history as the most iconic piece of music ever written for video games. Life is difficult. Things rarely go to plan, and you will lose more often than you will win. Every little victory must be celebrated, and throughout all of my years of gaming, nothing has ever yelled, "You win," more effectively and epically as these 9 notes. Another series known for its epic scale and pioneering graphics, the Final Fantasy series has led the charge in sound design since its humble beginnings on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Each incarnation of the victory theme remained instantly recognizable for 10 years on 3 different systems, adjusting as technology improved. Nothing before or since has been able to capture the feeling one should get by slaying a dragon or stabbing a Tonberry through the head. It's succinct, it's punchy, and it reminds you that winning can feel awesome.
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, we will be jumping around all over the place. Producer Jazz Brousseau fills us in on the latest from EA Sports UFC. We get our hands on an early copy of Shinji Mikami's new horror fest, The Evil Within. And Kingsley wonders what would happen if the Nazis won the war with his review of Wolfenstein: The New Order. In the meantime, you can catch us on playerattack.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com. Or just hop on our forums. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.